You had sensitivity training.
Okay, people, you ready to press the button? We're gonna call the meeting to order. And the first item would be the approval of the agenda and order of business. And I think I have a jurisdictional scan.
Well,
Well, I don't know.
you're gonna do a council meeting, I think, next week. We'll get out of that next week.
Okay, we'll add that next week. I won't do that. What about the surface water supplies? That's a whole other matter. No, we're not doing that one either at the moment. So, and we already have in camera. I mean, I have another matter for in camera probably, but I think Tina does as well, but we'll deal with that when we get there. Okay.
Approval of the agenda.
New business.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, oh yes, new business.
Regular new business.
Regular new business.
4-H request for flag flying and light up our building in green.
Flag flying, okay.
And I have out and vote in my district.
Out and
Last
about.
council.
You were telling them about the dinner? Oh.
That's a thank you.
Oh. Anyone else have any additions?
Motion to approve the agenda is amended.
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Public input, 15 minutes. Anybody got anything else they want to say this morning?
No, so far.
Okay, good. Minutes of the previous meeting, cancel October the 3rd. Errors or omissions, people?
I'll move we approve the minutes from the 3rd.
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. No proclamations and designations that I am aware of.
No.
7.1 is, well, I'll do this first. This is easy, I think. Lunenburg County Senior Safety Program monthly report.
Easy. No.
Well,
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Just looking forward to whether I'm appointed next term or not, but certainly looking forward to the continued great work of the Senior Safety Program and the incoming council in its entirety of 7, the lucky individual that will be, next term, if you will, going on to be the representative on the committee, whether it's me or not. It's a very rewarding committee. I had reason myself to contact them. So again, it's little stories, I think, in terms of the difference that it makes. So I had a family member who does not live in New Ross reach out to me, the daughter of a 90 and a 98-year-old. There was a situation of being in hospital, being sent home, not ready to be. I reached out to Lisa Bennett the next morning at 8:30. She took my call and gave me answers of how to help that family in the hospital in Bridgewater. Again, it's individual stories, real difference in people's lives, and I cannot say enough about the fact that she's available to any one of us as well as the community. Her information is always public, office number at the Bridgewater Police Station as well as cell number. And I won't say anything more other than it made the difference in that family who were not hands-on because they were in Halifax and couldn't be there for the 90 and 98-year-old person, and it was unacceptable what was happening to the mom and dad. So it's all individual stories. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for Tina on that? No? Thank you. Okay, I know it's not 9:00 a.m. anymore, but Shannon Black? What made us think we were going to be doing that at 9:00?
Defeat me.
9:00 tonight.
Thank you. So this is about conflict of interest, and just coming off public hearing in a session where Mr. Vino definitely participated in a very enthusiastic way to try to shape council's motions, progress
Shannon, I'm sorry,
through.
could you turn your mic on?
Yeah, sure.
My hearing's not as good as it should be.
Sure. I'm sure you can guess what I was saying anyway.
I think you've heard it before.
So, yeah. So I guess, didn't really have much time to prepare for this portion of today, but I guess what I'm looking at, first of all, are the disclosures of conflict of interest in 2023 and 2024. And when I tallied them before, Mr. Vino had 11 declared conflicts that he did not disclose the general nature of those conflicts to anyone, as far as I know. And that is, as I pointed out before, contrary to the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act, which requires any council member who declares a conflict to disclose the general nature thereof. It's right there. It's very straightforward. Yeah.
I don't, not to interrupt, sorry.
Oh,
I just wanted to let you know that Councillor Vino has provided those to me. I have not had a chance to meet with Pam and put those in the registry yet. I just wanted to.
What date did he provide them to you?
I think it was Wednesday of last week. We just haven't had a chance to sit down and do that with elections, and I had courses last week, so.
But they will become part of our
I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. Yeah, but they will, well, no, they won't become part of the minutes, they'll become part of the registry of conflict of interest. We'll add them probably tomorrow if we have time to sit down.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, it doesn't change the fact that he was asked for them weeks ago, and it took him until last week, and you know, I'd be interested to see. It would have been helpful, quite frankly. I mean, I was here last week on this issue too. I mean, it's sort of like, it just feels to me like too little too late, quite honestly, because he's also been in breach of the code of conduct policy that this council has adopted. And it obliges members to uphold the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act explicitly. Okay, so the other thing that came up last week was services that Able Engineering had been paid for. And we learned last week that the test well drilling at Marriott's Cove had also been handed over to Able Engineering. Now, I know, broadly speaking, the amount that Able Engineering was paid or was supposed to be paid for the test wells at Middle River, and his company's portion of the payment was, I think it was supposed to be about $8,000. But it would be interesting to know how much of the Marriott's Cove test well drilling was going to be paid to Able Engineering. Are you able to answer that question?
I'm still working on that report. I believe, off the top of my head, it was around $19,000 for the engineering portion of it.
Mm-hmm. And also last week, it came up around awards to Able Engineering. You were trying to answer, set out in orally, perhaps, how that works, maybe with your procurement policy or whatever. And I don't want your answer orally. I would like writing, something in writing. And I did ask for that a week ago, and I still haven't received anything.
No, it'll come back to council requested it. First of all, it's a request from council.
Fine.
It'll come back to council. I haven't had a chance to do that. I was in training for the 3 days this week, and so we are working on that report.
Okay, well, and in the meantime, what I can advise, and perhaps council's already aware of this, but from April of 2019 until September 25th, the municipality has paid Able Engineering Services a total of $244,425. Now, in my view, that number should be zero. Okay? This is a sitting councillor. He's in a conflict of interest when he's participating in discussions about what kind of work the municipality is going to do. And then I'm not sure how it works that the CAO is granting contracts to Mr. Vino. Does council know about this? Does the council know about it every time? Is council signing off on this? Or how is it working? As, I'm just one person, okay, asking these questions, but I think that a lot more transparency is needed, and I question the appropriateness of Mr. Vino seeking another term on this council if he is intending to continue to take work from the municipality, and if he is continuing to participate in discussion and voting around issues that directly or indirectly result in a financial benefit for him. That is inappropriate. And in the materials today, well, yes, thank you for having this up on the screen. I mean, this is something that's given to new councillors. This is just fundamental how to be a municipal councillor, and there are several paragraphs in this document about avoiding conflict of interest, avoiding the perception of conflict of interest. When in doubt, something, you know,
Sit it out.
sit it out, okay? But also, the engineers, if we could go down to, we'll just, there's from the Engineers Nova Scotia Code of, the Engineering Profession Act. We go down another page. One of these sections says that engineers should avoid conflicts of interest. Like I said, I'm sorry that I'm not better prepared for this one. Perhaps Mr. Vino knows which section relates to conflict of interest, but we scroll down a little further. So could it be? In any case, I hope that you'll trust me on this, that engineers are supposed to avoid putting themselves in a conflict of interest. So I appreciate that that's not council's concern, but I just want to point out that this is another element of insufficient consideration of the role. Okay, and you know, it's not just Mr. Vino's reputation that suffers, and I know this sounds like a little, preachy, but it's this council's reputation that suffers. Every councillor at this table has had reputational harm occur because of Mr. Vino's conduct and how he directs action at this table. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, I should stay in my seat in case there's going to be a response from Mr. Vino, and I'm not going to have the opportunity to rebut it. So if this is the end of this topic and you're moving on to the next matter, then I'll get out of my seat. But I don't want to be in another situation where I'm being yelled at by coming back to the table to correct statements or respond to statements from Mr. Vino.
Does any councillor wish to respond to Ms. Black?
No. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, 10.1. Municipality District of Chester operating budget book, year-end variances to budget.
Morning, Council. Got a couple fairly, I would say, simple financial reports for you today. The first of which would be the year-end variance report for the year that ended back in March. So you were all here for the audit committee when the official consolidated financial statements were approved.
Yeah.
This is another view of the financial results that kind of ties it back to the budget book and how you would all be familiar with it and how the public would be familiar with how our budget is presented. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. The first document that's been provided to you is essentially something that looks exactly like the budget book, but it includes the budget, the audited actual numbers, and the variance to that budget, along with any notes for significant variances. I'm going to start, I'm just going to focus on the first page that has the overall summary by the total revenues, salary, wage, and employee benefits, cost of municipal services, expenditures not related to service, etc. Again, as I always preface these conversations with, this is variances, so positive numbers are favorable variances, i.e. higher revenue, lower expense. Negative numbers in brackets would be unfavorable variances, that's reduced revenues, increased expenses. There's always the fun of contributions to reserve are considered an expense for the operating fund, so it's a negative variance there. We've contributed more
That's just
to
because
reserve.
we put it in the bank from
Exactly.
one account to another. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
So looking at the summary page, just going to go by the totals on the far right here. So total revenue was favorable by just over 1.7 million. The biggest pieces there were just about $2 million of funding booked against the ICIP active transit funding sources. Now, of course, that $2 million was towards capital projects, so it was then transferred off to capital. So it kind of nets out across the whole statements. There was also lower than budgeted deed transfer tax revenue for the year by about $470,000 compared to the estimate. And then, of course, half of that amount was transferred to the Infrastructure Development Reserve as approved in the budget. Salary, wage, and employee benefits was favorable across the organization by $377,971. That represents about a 6% favorable variance in that category. When we built the budget, there were a couple of high-level items that we included, such as the estimated impact of the salary review work that was done last year. We budgeted approximately 4% increase for that work. We also had a vacancy allowance to account for turnover and reduced spending on salaries for that, and that was about 3%. So that was an estimated 1% above kind of baseline overall for the year, and in the end of the year, it was actually 6% below that baseline.
Okay.
I'm not going to get into the details of the cost of municipal services. There was a $1.2 million favorability in that line item, and the details of that are broken out across all the different programs and department areas, which are included on the following pages of that first document. Down below this, on that first page, there's a reconciliation of the operating surplus. So when I sat here with you on the day of audit committee, we reported a favorable operating variance of $3,161,000. Which is reduced by the contribution of the Chester Village Fire Department. That's included in our consolidated statement, but obviously not part of our internal budget, which brought it to a $1.8 million favorability. While doing the review and preparing this report, there were some identified misreporting of just, so the things that didn't impact the external statements, but do impact our operating reserve, or our operating surplus, I should say. And those 4 items are listed here below, and these are all just, oh, it should have come from this reserve, but it didn't, or it went from that one to this one. So for a total change of about $896,000, so that brings the adjusted annual surplus in the operating fund to a favorable $922,676. Of that $896,000 difference, I've broken that down into where that money actually is. So because at the year end, our favorability just gets closed to the operating surplus, or operating reserve, I should say. So $50,000 of that amount is gone from what would have been the operating reserve back into the wind reserve. There's a small amount of $6,800 that is an adjustment to the capital fund. And then the remainder of that's still in the exact same reserve it would have been. It just recognizing it in year or as part of the surplus is really the only net difference there. So that's all I'm going to really detail on the operating stuff. There are other details for each program area, for each department, with some notes on some of the more significant variances. I wanted to present this to you to have that information and to put it into the public as well. So unless there are any specific questions about any of the operating stuff, I'm going to move on to capital.
Yeah, well, we're in better financial shape than we.
Indeed, yes.
I just get, when I look at the policing and the price of policing and the service you get, it's disgusting. Anyway.
Yeah.
That is one of those areas where we have no discretion over that amount.
I know.
It is provided to us.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next item is the 1-page year-end report on capital spending for the same period, fiscal year ended March 31st, 2024. I've not included all the funding source detail that you might normally see in a budget document like this, but just the approved budget amount, the spending for the year, and a note on where that project sits now. So I'm just going to go through the different categories of project status. So there's the carry forward, CFWD. If it just says carry forward, that means that it is aligned with reports that have been provided to you when we built the budget. So on February 29th and on March 16th, you would have received all the information that built the budget, and those were already included in those carry forwards. Again, the next item, removed, means it was removed from the budget, and the details on that were provided back when the budgets were built.
What page are you on?
I'm on, I don't have my agenda, the one that looks like this. It's after the operating stuff.
Do you have a number?
Later than that.
10.1A.
Yeah.
It's like after all.
Yeah, so there's probably 10 or
Skipped a
15.
bunch of pages.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of pages, yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's the second section of.
So it says page 6 of 13, so what are we on?
No, it would be after the of 13. That of 13 was all the operating report.
Okay.
That I'm not gonna go through in
So
detail
we're after
here.
that, okay.
Yeah, it's
Page after.
We're on 10.2 capital budget update.
Oh, this is a different item on the
10.2?
agenda. Oh, I am
Yeah,
sorry.
it's a different item on the agenda. We're on 10.2.
No, this is still 10.1.
Okay, sorry.
10.2 does follow directly from this as
10.1.
well.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't have
I
a
got
page
you,
number.
10.18, Derek.
Yeah.
Page number, makes it difficult.
It doesn't have a page number, it's the page
If
after
you're looking at the
13
bottom and
of
it says
13.
of 13, then you need to keep going. It's the page immediately after. I think, there, right there on your.
Page
below your-
13.
Yeah, number page.
no, on your table below what you're holding. Oh, no, sorry. No, you're right, sorry. Forgive me. Anyway, the tags that say project status, there's carry forward, removed, completed, included. Those are all things that are just information you've already received when we were building the budget. The ones that are different than what you might have seen already are the ones that say carry forward -ADJ for adjustment. Those are items where when we built the budget to start the year, we estimated how much would be spent during the previous year and calculated carry forward that way. And now that we've got to the year end, we've updated to the actual spending, and we will be adjusting that carry forward amount. And that'll be in that next item, 10.2, that we'll be talking about. But this is just a summary of the spending against all the budgeted capital projects for the year. So if there are any questions about capital, I'm happy to.
Obviously, we've approved of a little over 4 million for the Goldwater Bridge repair, and we've spent actually just over 100,000, so of course that'll change. There's gonna be a lot of changes in that, I expect.
We're still waiting for.
We're still waiting for reports and, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that is one item where there will be other reports
Oh,
coming
yeah.
back, but
Yeah.
this is just a report as to what we spent versus the 23-24 capital budget.
Question on municipal property. The Wild Rose Park accessibility phase 2. So that's a $300,000 budget. We haven't spent anything.
Up to the end of March, there had not been any spending. There has been spending since then, but whereas this is a report to the year end of the previous fiscal year, that's not showing anything on this report.
What's CFWB doing?
That's carry forward, as in that $300,000 has already been carried forward into the 24-25 capital budget.
And it's that carried forward portion in the 24-25 capital budget that there has been some spending on.
Yes, yeah, but it happened since April 1st. So there will be a Q2 report coming, so it will be after the election, so.
I don't get to see that.
Well, you'll get to see it, it'll still be publicly available, you'll just have to join the gallery.
Yeah.
Sign up for Municipal alerts, you'll get the packages right at your fingertips.
Aren't you like a president, a past president of the United States? You get all the briefing stuff there, it doesn't work out.
And I just need the security, not the briefing.
Okay, keep going.
Okay, that was the end of item 10.1, so unless there are any further questions about the operating or capital results.
Anybody have any?
Gazintas.
Oh, it is, yeah, it is what it is. 10.2A.
10.2, so this sort of follows from that capital report. This is a request for decision to approve some changes to the 24-25 and 25-26 capital budget as approved currently. And that is to adjust for those previously mentioned carry forwards where we used an assumed amount when we prepared the budget. Now that we know what was spent, we can adjust those carry forwards to be correct and accurate. And also there's one small funding source change that I'd like to recommend. So I'm on the request for decision here now. At the bottom of that page, there's a table of the page 1 of the RFD. There's a table that shows the 3 projects that had different spending than what was assumed when we built the budget. Each of them, we spent a little bit more in the prior year than what we had estimated when we built the budget. And so the net change to the 24-25 capital budget is to reduce by $1,092,426 across those 3 projects. The other change that I'm requesting approval of today is a funding source change, and that's around the Chester Basin wastewater work. We received a grant for 2.25 million and change to cover up to 50% for the work on that project. When the budget was originally built, I included that full grant amount in the first year, which actually represents more than half of the budget in the first year, so it doesn't quite line up. So all we're doing here is just moving $400,000 of that grant funding into 25-26, and then pulling $400,000 of funding from the 25-26 into 24-25. It's literally just a swap of funding sources to make sure that we're compliant with the grant requirements.
Yeah.
So I've included a 2-page attachment to this RFD. It represents what I'm proposing for changes to pages 25 and 26 of the currently approved budget book, so the capital budget. I've highlighted in yellow the pieces that are changes. They're just reflecting exactly what's written in this report. So if there are any questions there, I'm happy to answer those.
Anyone any questions? Somebody prepared to move the recommendations he's making? There were 2. Right?
I think it's just
One.
Yeah, to adjust the budget book to replace pages 25 and 26 with what is presented here in this attachment. However, there are 2 changes that go into that.
Like 2 changes.
Yeah.
Are we going to approve the changes to the book?
Yes, I'll move that we do.
Discussion? All those?
One more
Oh, sorry.
part of the discussion. On the 10.2, the 1 million and change. Over budget, as far as the 2024-25 budget is concerned, not over budget on work.
So not over budget, it was above what was estimated to be the spending in 24-25.
What was budgeted for?
I'm sorry, I don't have those right in front of me here.
This is adjustments.
Oh, I do actually, yeah. So this is adjustments to the 24-25 budget. So these are big projects, right, that had multi-year spending. We knew that they weren't going to be completed in 23-24 when we built the budget for this year. We assumed the amounts listed here in the first column of numbers.
My point, I know that. The question is, the project itself is not over budget.
No, just the spending was higher than what was assumed it would be. Yeah, in that year, still well within the budget.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
Just want to make that clear.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Okay. We had a mover and seconder. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. And okay, 10.3, uniform signage program, community development.
Somehow community development gets to sit in the back while I get this one, so I'm going to let you on this morning. Good morning, Council. All right, so what you have in front of you is an information report just to provide an update on the uniform signage program. Basically, I won't go through, it's been a long meeting already, so I won't go through a lot of the background, but I think most people know this started quite a few years back. In 2022, staff were given direction to move forward to look at options for potentially expanding the program to the other 3 exits in addition to exit 6 in the Harvards area. So we've been working on this for the last little while, but we wanted to give an update. We anticipate having a decision before council before the end of 2024, so a request for decision by the end of 2024, but we wanted to make sure that we provided you with an update of where things stand right now so that everybody can be up to date on how things are progressing. So just to provide a bit of the background on the lessons learned, and when we come for a decision, we're going to go into these in more details for everybody to consider in making a decision on how to move forward. But basically, the uniform signage program was designed with 2 main outcomes in mind. So the first was to try to clean up clutter at the exits. I won't go through each of the positive outcomes, but that has been incredibly successful. We've been able to really clean up the aesthetics at the exits. So in general, that has been incredibly effective. The second desired outcome relates to providing effective wayfinding for the traveling public and ensuring that people can find local businesses in the area by their vehicles. We are not really able to assess that and determine how effective that has been because we don't have access to data on how many additional people may have gone to businesses and things like that. So we don't have that information directly available, and that's one of the negatives about when we put this forward when it comes to lessons learned, is that we can't really develop a fulsome report on what the return on investment has been for this program, or what it would be as we move forward as well, because we don't have access to that data.
Kind of in a general sense, assume that if we provide clearer direction, that it's helpful.
In general, one of the benefits is that it has a chance to provide enhanced experience for people so that they can find things more easily. Yet at the same time, the traveling public in general does not mention signage as one of their primary ways that they found businesses in a community. Especially, it's becoming less important as people use Google Maps or do most of their research on the internet.
That's right. They Google where they're going, and their phone tells them when they're there.
Exactly. So it's one of those things that when council is asked to make a decision that will need to be considered is whether or not the return on investment is there. So essentially, we've outlined here a number of the lessons learned over the course of the project that we've been working on to date. As I mentioned, in general, it has really improved aesthetics, but it also, on the flip side, the program has proved a lot more complicated and costly than was initially anticipated. And that both, the two main ways that we can talk about that are, number one, with regards to the cost of installing and maintaining the signs has been significantly more expensive than was anticipated. And on the complicated side of things, we have a lot less control over the program than we originally thought that we might, because it requires a very long process of working with the provincial government to determine what's allowed, where it's allowed, and so on.
Ron, could I ask a question? I'm not sure which exit it is, because I've never, very seldom use it. It's the exit that comes off at East River.
So right now,
Not East River exit?
That's 7.
That's 7?
They're talking.
And there's like 1,000 signs
that's
there.
correct, yes.
So is that something that's been cleaned up, or is that?
That has not been cleaned
Oh,
up.
okay, I was gonna say, when you were talking about,
No.
this is that.
So
I was gonna
exit-
say, that doesn't look very successful.
So exit 6 Hubbards has been cleaned up.
Yes,
The idea
okay.
is to look at expanding that to the additional exits to try to.
7, 8, 9.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, okay.
So it started then.
Yeah, I knew it there, I just thought,
Yeah, so on the complicated side of things, like I said, it took a lot longer to work with the province to get approval for the project than was initially anticipated. When it came to public engagement, we were not in control of as many things as we would have hoped, so we received a lot of input, but then had to defer to the province on where things could be located. Other things like the size of the signs are also something that the province has control over, which affects our costs. So it has had positives and it has had negatives that we're learning through the process. So when we bring this back to the decision, we'll be asking you to consider all of those and making the next steps. But what we're doing right now is we're really developing a series of options for what those next steps could look like. And those will range from everything from maintaining the current program that we have in place at Exit 6, to expanding the program to all 4 of our exits within the municipality. And we're also going to be providing some additional options as well that could modify the program or look at alternatives to the program where we could accomplish everything that has been positive while trying to reduce all the things that have been negative about the program as we move forward. So we're putting that together. The reason for needing a little bit more time to get this together, the primary reason goes back to our conversation about complications and with the province. So right now, the biggest reason why we don't have a decision for you today, and we anticipate it between the end of the year, is the fact that we are still waiting for Nova Scotia Department of Public Works to give us detailed information of where signage will be permitted at the other 4 exits, because right now they consider large portions of those areas to be controlled access, and we need to know exactly where the controlled access begins and ends in order to be able to know what the cost might be, whether it's even feasible at certain exits, to be able to move forward. So we're in the process of waiting that information back from the province. We anticipate getting it in the next month. We have been in a lot of conversations with them over that, but essentially that also has a huge impact on the price points that we would be bringing back to have a discussion around what the investment might look like. We have, though, outlined, based on the existing program at the Hubbards exit, the costing that if we were just simply, without knowing exactly where the signage would go at the additional 3 exits, what it would look like for the costs to to move forward with the program at 3 additional exits, because basically we would be looking at approximately $100,000 for the design and installation of 6 signs at each exit. So when we times that by 4, we're looking at approximately $400,000 in capital costs to move forward with the program as it's currently designed. And additionally, there's about $37,000 annually in maintenance cost for, again, 4 exits if we were to move forward with the program as it is currently designed. So what we're doing right now is we're going to be bringing back the report for decision with options to consider at these costs, but also at the alternatives that we are looking for to try to reduce these costs and to also look at how we might phase the program if it were to move forward. So we just wanted to provide you with this update as it stands, but we anticipate a request for decision by the end of this calendar year.
Wow.
Good. I just want to make a comment on the cost scares me, but the success of the project was unbelievable as far as the community was concerned and as far as the businesses. I know we had a couple of them that were upset. I think a lot of it was miscommunication. They didn't know the sign was going, well, they should have known, but we were also dealing with another municipality with complicated things. And I don't know who picks where the signs actually are located, but I don't think they actually went out and looked, because some of the problems we incurred were, we put signs behind light poles, behind stop signs. I mean, someone has to go and look at those things. I think lessons learned is a really good way to put it. I don't think those things would have to happen if we did it in another exit. I think we understand that we made some errors, and that's why it was a pilot project, I guess. But I think that the overall project was well received by the community. And I mean, but it just wants to drive down off the exit and have off it. A lot of good calls. Not on exit 7 so much, but exit 6 now, it's a lot of good ones. So I think it's well worth looking into moving forward. Be nice to see those costs go down. To think you have to pay $16,000 for a sign, and then the installation of it is really scary to me, because I know they want traffic people there and they want this and that. And to me, it's not that complicated, but I know we're a municipality and we've got to do things differently. But anyway, thank you.
Andre?
I think exit 7 is our next worst intersection. The other 2 aren't actually that bad just because it's not configured in the same way. I can tell you I've been visiting with a lot of folks on account of the election and stuff, and it's come up on a number of times that people are very interested in seeing the signage at exit 7 cleaned up. They look down the road at exit 6 and they're saying, when's it coming to us? And so I'm hopeful that this next council will want to continue on with this sign program, because I think overall it has been well received. I take your comments, Floyd, that there are pains that come with it. You have to do a lot of communication with the business owners that place that advertising in those locations. But I think the overall, it's been a positive thing. I agree at exit 6, and people are looking forward to it rolling out.
Oh, it's good. It's a good program. Yeah. Wish it didn't cost us money. Yes. Oh.
Thank you. I know you'd be disappointed if I didn't ask you a question.
Absolutely.
When I started 3 years ago, this is one of the top things on the agenda. I haven't come very far in 3 years. You weren't here, so I can say that. It wasn't your fault at that time. I don't know who it was. I'm going to ask you just one question on community engagement. Has there been any community engagement done in the last 3 years for exit 7?
Not for this program, no.
Are the other things preventing that from happening?
Yes.
So what do you need to know that you don't have to know to ask the businesses what they want?
So the biggest thing, and I might defer to some people who have been, that's where I might pull somebody in to answer the question, but the biggest thing that is stopping this is the fact that until we have direction to actually expand the program, we don't want to engage with people around the fact that this might be coming until we know that we actually have direction to move forward with it, is my understanding. So right now, until we know that the program is implementable and that we are willing to invest in implementing it, we don't want to over-engage on something that might not come to fruition, would be my best guess, but some other people could correct me on that.
No,
So.
okay. Have we not decided that we are prepared to invest as a municipality, or is that a decision we haven't made yet?
We have, council has given us direction to expand the program and bring back the costs and what it would look like. And one of the biggest items there in terms of what it would look like, and we wouldn't want to go out to the community without knowing these answers, because they will ask the question as to where the signage will go, how many signs, and certainly council will want to know the cost before an official decision is made. So the direction that staff received, I believe, in the past was to come back with the cost and the options for rollout. So an official decision hasn't been made yet, and so that's kind of where we're held up. And Brian has mentioned it, provincially, we really do need to understand where they're going to restrict the signage and in order to bring
They
that
may
back.
not even let us do it. Anyone else, any questions? In your progress, it's slow, it's hard to get everything done in a hurry.
You're dealing with the problems, especially.
Okay, and I am on corporate strategic management interim report.
I hear
The dry wells. Water distribution.
Yeah, just doesn't say that.
Good morning, Council. In your package, based on timing, we had presented the first interim report, was actually at the very beginning of the program. So I wanted to take the opportunity today to give you an update on that and just looking for some direction. So as of today, or last evening, October the 9th, the dry well reports, we've recorded 167 low to dry wells. That's an increase of 28 dry wells since the report in your package of week 3. Tracking to date does not show any major increases to date compared to prior years of low precipitation. That's 167 reports to date. Roughly represents 69% of our 2022 program, in which we had 242, 60% of the 2020 program of 276, and 71% of the major program back in 2016. Participants and coupons, as of October 9th, we've recorded an additional 41 participants, bringing us to a total of 234. As of October 9th, also, we issued additional 2,200 water coupons, bringing us to 7,444 coupons issued to date. Those week 5s are expiring on the 20th. So in comparison, our 2022 program lasted 7 weeks with 242 dry wells and 481 participants and 11,000 coupons. In 2020, we lasted 11 weeks and ended in early November with 276 wells, 579 participants, and 18,000 coupons. So, in summary, this program this year is about on norm with the past programs. We are continuing to map the dry wells and in the area, but again, the distribution patterns don't really show any major difference to the previous. The majority of the wells are being reported in the Chester area and Chester Basin and Western Shore. That represents, well, the majority. The rest of the communities are pretty low. I can provide the actual statistics, but if you're looking at the Chester area, District 3 and 7, there was 85 reports to date. Last year, for the last program, there was 90, so it's a bit on comparison. Chester Basin did show a little bit of a drop this compared to previous programs. 37 wells reported to date, 52 in the 2022 program. Western Shore, again, showing a little bit of a drop, 27 this year and 58 in the previous programs. Looking at expenses, we haven't reconciled all the invoices yet, but using historical redemption rates of about 88%, the 7,400 coupons represents about estimate of 15,000 program to date, and that's about 75% of our current budget. Precipitation forecast, we just received a new one as of October the 4th. Temperatures in September, of course, were near or above average for the month. There's a persistent area of high pressure over eastern Canada, and that's resulting in drier patterns. And the longer range through to mid-November, actually to November 18th, shows a continuing dry pattern over the entire province, but also especially along the South Shore. So we're having another dry period over the next, until November the 18th, and that's the latest forecast. So in summary, the 2024 reports of dry wells, number of participants and coupons issued are in roughly comparable to previous programs in 2016, 2020, and 2022. Again, the dry well distribution mapping is comparable as well. There's been no major shift in the distribution patterns. The provincial participation or precipitation forecast continues to show very dry patterns, especially along the South Shore. There's not expected to be any substantial well recovery before early mid-November. Our next coupon issue has an expiry date of November 1st. So my recommendation this morning is, considering the forecast of continuing dry patterns, especially along the South Shore, it's recommended that we extend the program by one additional week versus our two-week pattern, with coupons expiring on November the 10th. And that allows a review by council, which is scheduled for November the 7th. We'll get another update and continue with that. So,
Seems
any questions?
Derek has questions for you.
Same question as last time.
Yes.
How many of those wells are dug and how many are drilled?
I don't have an exact number for you, but the vast majority are dug.
Can you give an exact number?
Yes, I can.
Can you
Once
get
we,
that for me?
yeah.
I want it for District 3, but I also like the overall two numbers.
Yeah.
167, which is for the municipality, and the 85 in District.
Yeah, we're mapping that out right now. by
Should be
district.
hard to tell if drug or drill. I mean, that's pretty simple.
If it's reported on the forms, some people
Some people don't tell you.
don't actually know. So I'll give you the best data that we have.
Yeah, last time you gave me good data.
Yeah. Good.
Not as good as last time. Anyway, thank you.
So, somebody prepared to move, we extend the program?
So moved.
Second. Discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried.
So I'll bring another update on the 7th. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
Okay, this is kind of a new thing that's just come out, 11.1. Community.
You missed one, 10.5.
Oh, I thought you weren't going to do that.
Unopened roads.
Oh, unopened roads, okay, my mistake, unopened roads.
Good afternoon, Council.
Oh, yes, that's it.
Thank you for your kind attention. Another slow burn project, this one, but we finally got some light at the end of the tunnel. We received notification from the Real Estate Department of Nova Scotia Department of Public Works regarding which unopen road PIDs they will be willing to transfer to Municipality of Chester. Sorry,
That's okay, I think some people in the back as well.
my mistake.
I'll say that because I can't hear.
Find your report. I know they came in late. Me anyway. Got my spectacle laced up. Here we go.
Got it. Okay. So what we received the information back from the real estate department of the Department of Public Works. They have stated that they would like to retain 8 of the PIDs for future operational needs. But the rest of the PIDs that we submitted to them, and that would be the full list, all of the PIDs throughout the entire municipality. And so we have that definitive answer from them now. As to, they basically said the priority PIDs that we discussed back in March of this year, they would be willing to entertain that transfer of land from the province to the municipality. So what this request for decision is asking is for council to instruct infrastructure and operations to obtain quotes for land surveying purposes so that the listed priority PIDs may be transferred from NSDPW to MODC ownership. The cost will be brought back to council for approval. And there are, let me just check.
Lots of roads.
There are 10 priority PIDs, the vast majority are within the village.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we asked for them, we gotta do what needs to be done to make it take place.
So we will go ahead, we will obtain quotes for each one of the PIDs for land surveying purposes and bring those numbers back to council for future further discussion.
Yeah, no, we do require a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion, all those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Oh,
Actually, no, I just want to comment.
Sorry.
I know that since our meeting in March, I think it was, I know that we, in my community, have certainly been very excited about the fact that council, to this point, has included the Old Annapolis Road. And I know that, we've talked about it in quite detail at our Trail Society meeting, but as well as at the Development Society in terms of, and I haven't yet made my way out to speak individually to the businesses, but I know that there is real economic measurable benefit right now from people that are traveling to be announced from Tantallon in particular, and some with Hubbards, because I know I met with the Hubbards ATV Association individual, and they were here that day to talk to us about a pilot program. So I think it aligns a little bit, I don't know if align's the right word, but under open about my district, I'm going to talk about the repair work that took place on Popner Trail, which is on part of the Old Annapolis Road, and the investment by the province in that bridge. So I just wanted to say that while you were here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question on map 4 and map 5. The one number there, is that included in the, and I don't think they are. I'm looking for
Map 4 and map 5.
map 4 is
High priority area.
60576030.
Yeah, so basically on these maps, the ones that have been crossed out, they're the ones that the province wants to retain ownership of.
Okay.
If they are as they are, then they're absolutely up for further discussion with them.
Is that included or not? I don't know.
It's not included in the original 9 priority ones. 10 priority ones. Yeah.
I'm mentioning it for a reason.
But we can add it, it's not a problem.
Well, those properties right there that wind run through, we just took ownership of.
Oh, yeah.
We're right in the middle of it, so I don't know why we wouldn't.
Okay.
And on the other one, on map 5, that actually is the extension to get to Knoll Cove Big Lake, where you right now are going over private property.
Yes.
And that little piece out front connects from Parkwood to there to give us, I guess, a right of way. So I don't know why we wouldn't include that one either.
Yeah, we can certainly have
Yes,
those.
I know, he was just, we just picked some that were priorities.
But I know I mentioned them too last time, I wasn't.
So I don't have any issues with them.
We-
Well, they're important to us, I think they are.
Yeah.
Well, one of them's almost we're using.
Well, the other one we're using,
property.
we're using private property as a right of way right now. And the other one, we own those properties that it runs down through. It only makes
So
sense.
we would want to own the road.
We can have those, certainly, absolutely, no problem.
So do we have a motion?
I just like that, so what's this, I'm looking at, in my area, and I just, distinction between, you got red lines and then a blue line.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what that means.
So the blue line is the provincially owned unopened, and the red line is there's uncertain ownership. So we would need, and that's been determined by Nick through the GIS records,
Okay.
but also by the province as well. So if one of the red line ones is part of the sort of the uncertain one that people are wishing to have transferred, we would do a little bit more digging. But as if it's not been scratched off, not been marked off on this, the province would entertain us having that transfer of the lands.
And that obviously hasn't been done. The province hasn't crossed those over, have they?
If it's not crossed off on these maps, then they are happy for us to come to them with future requests to get the land surveyed and possible transfer.
Yeah. So we would need a motion to add those two. Second. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, now we got some lunches here. So do you want to take a lunch break, or well, I mean,
Have a working lunch, how's that?
gotta eat sometime.
How much time is left, do you think?
Well, I mean, we've got.
I have to leave at 1, I have a doctor's appointment.
Yeah, so you're not gonna make it to the end because we have in cameras stuff to deal with.
Yeah, we could probably finish correspondence before lunch, take a break, and then go.
Then do we, okay, that would maybe work best, yeah. Okay. Community solar power purchase agreement.
Yep, so the 11.1 is some information that the province has just released. The UARB has released the power purchase agreement for community solar. So in the past, we've had discussions around are we able to do community solar gardens? We haven't looked into that too much. We were waiting to find out sort of what that power purchase agreement looks like. So this is a draft of the PPA. They're looking for input in the next couple days, but I wanted to provide council with the information on the program, what it is. So probably no motion action required right now. It's for information.
Yeah, but in a general sense.
In a general sense.
In a general sense, it allows us to develop solar gardens and put it into the grid and sell it to Nova Scotia Power. Correct. Right? So it's, yeah.
So is this the same community solar program that's open right now? Because again, I haven't really dove into this. That's open to community groups, because I do have a phone call that I have to respond to about a meeting.
Yes,
in
that's
New
right.
Ross, somebody's putting together a proposal for a not-for-profit
That's
in
right.
my community, so
Yeah.
it's the same one.
Yeah.
So I think as a municipality, then my suggestion to my group, as well as anybody, would be to seek a letter of support if it fits within the overall green, the passion for green that we have here.
Yeah.
So I haven't read it, I haven't got my head around it.
I mean, I'm glad they're doing it.
Yeah.
Allowing us to.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
whether we
community
will.
organizations, because it adds to their self-sufficiency and generating creative dollars to
Yeah.
bring into their operations. Yeah.
And it wasn't all that long ago, we were talking with the private sector about developing the same thing out at Kaiser Meadow, and that didn't work. But
But they're able to,
now it allows us to do it ourselves.
and they're able to still as well.
Yes, but we can do
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Generate income from it, actually.
Yeah.
Plus, like the world.
Green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you can improve the environment and make money, yeah, if you're whatever. I like that idea. Okay. Now, where am I again? 11.2.
Again, an email for information. We got a letter from Municipal Affairs announcing that they are adopting the Nova Scotia Building Code regulations to phase in the requirements of the 2020 National Building Code. So they've had committed previously to adopting the 2020 National Building Code, but they were looking at how they would do that and how they would work that into. So this is the phasing of that, and just the notice that that will be happening over the next few years.
And we have no options.
And we have no options, yeah.
It's a national building code, and whether we like it or not, we have to enforce it.
So just so that it's clear on what that means, it's the 2020 National Building Code, the 2020 National Plumbing Code, the 2020 National Energy Code for buildings, and the phasing that they've provided is an implementation over 4 years into the Nova Scotia Building Code Act. So the Tier 1 National Building Code and the Energy Code will be effective April 1st, 2025. Tier 2 is some more portions of the National Building Code effective April 1, 2026. There will be another implementation of the Energy Code in April 1 of 2027. Some more implementation of the National Building Code requirements in April 1 of 2027. And then the last phases of the Energy Code will be in 2029. So I don't know the details of what's in those, but we do know that it's being phased over that time period.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Good for developers for different provinces, I guess. They know what they're, from one place to the other, they're all gonna be the same, I guess.
So it's up to each province to adopt the national building codes at whatever speed and
Oh,
whatever
okay,
they like to do. So, yeah.
But you still have to adopt it. You have no choice.
You have to adopt a building code, but it doesn't have to be the
The
national.
national one? Oh, I thought
Like
this
the
was
province has chosen.
Oh, okay.
and it was good. Yeah, Andre?
Yes, actually to that point, actually Ontario has its own building code, which is separate from the national building code. But the biggest, I think, things that will affect the lives of ordinary folks that are building single-family homes is the requirement to do energy modeling as part of their application documents, which is going to be new for our department because they will receive from trained people energy models for the proposed structures, and it will add a cost to that whole permitting process that they're unfamiliar with, and will likely create frustration both within our department and the public.
Yeah.
As this will be a requirement, so it will add some cost to have that prepared, and then it will take some time for our staff then to process those documents.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can't control it.
The rest of it is just probably more of an iteration of previous codes.
Okay.
I can do my new business.
Hmm?
My new business right
Oh, your new business, do your new business.
You did say correspondence, but I think my new business won't take long if you want.
No, we should do it, and then we'll,
Put your microphone on.
then we'll adjourn.
Getting ready.
The flag, yeah?
So, so the local 4-H group has reached out to me to see if we would consider flying the 4-H flag on Wednesday, November the 6th. In particular, Wednesday, November 6th, but I do want to expand on that in 1 minute, or 1 second. November is officially 4-H month, and the first Wednesday, which in this particular year is the 6th, is Show Your 4-H Colors Day. And we, as well, in addition to that, last year lit up our building, the front of our building on that particular day. But I would like to suggest if we could light up our building on that day, because it's the official day, but looking at our flag flying policy, if we could actually expand that one day. They didn't ask me this, but I'm going to go back to them if it's the will of council, to expand it around November 6th for the flag. Because I know we have the ability, I think it is, Jennifer, 2 weeks, I think. 2 weeks for community groups, community flying. I just looked at it, now I forget. I think it's for up to 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yes, it's up to 2 weeks. So I think that the group would be very excited if they knew that around November the 6th, we were able to fly that flag, for example, starting on Wednesday, November the 1st, maybe through to the following Friday.
It's consistent with our policy, is it not?
If you check on when is the transnational visibility, is it the 20th?
I don't know.
We may have a conflict, but, we don't, the 20th is the day.
Okay, thank you.
So it isn't a problem for us.
So there's that, and then lighting up the building in green on the official day. And if you remember, I just want to insert this, last year, the report back to council was that we did light up our building. There was no flag provided by the group, and I don't even know if we had a community flagpole up then, I don't remember. But we were one of the very few, if the only municipality that did that last year. I'm hoping this year there's more people that are very much more leader, like us. But also Niagara Falls was lit up in green, and it was a very powerful image, as well as Parliament buildings in Ottawa were lit up in green for National 4-H Day. So I thought it was putting us in great company.
Yes.
So if you need a motion, or do you need a motion?
Oh, okay.
So I would put forward a motion that council accept the request of 4-H.
And I'll second that motion.
Discussion, people? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried, and to the very best of my knowledge, that...
No, she got more.
Oh, sorry. Oh, no vote, I forgot all about it.
I wouldn't want Floyd and Derek to get away so easy. So, open about my district. This time I do have 3. I was trying to stick with just 2, but I just can't help it. So I'm going to start with one that I'm not involved with, and that's the veterans banners are up again for this year in New Ross. And last year I think was the first year for that. And if you go through the community, you'll see on every other pole, at least in some cases it's pole after pole, because it's becoming more popular. So the veterans banners are on display starting last weekend through to at least Remembrance Day and beyond Remembrance Day. It's an annual project. It was and still is initiated and led by our area region with community partners, because community partners makes everything better. The community partners consist of community organizations, all of them are involved, individuals and local businesses. And it does take an entire community, really, right? So I know that there are people that have family members that are veterans that are certainly from New Ross, possibly currently reside still with us, and are on the polls, but then there are members. There are individuals that have moved to New Ross and have family members, and they want them as well to be placed on the banners and the poles in New Ross. So it's very, very overwhelmingly heartwarming to see that. It's a community beautification, but mostly community pride. So that was number 1. Number 2, and Councillor Wells into that, actually let the cat out, if you will, our New Ross Community Care Center had a fundraising event last weekend. We had our gala dinner, which was originally scheduled June the 1st, which I had mentioned to everybody prior to June 1st here at this table. And Councillor Wells had indicated at that time that he and Mrs. Wells would attend. Their schedules did allow that. And then when it was rescheduled, I was happy to hear that they were still on board. So Derek and Allison did attend the sold out and overwhelmingly successful fundraising dinner that we had in New Ross on Saturday evening. It wasn't all about the money, but it was about talking with the project, enjoying each other's company, and so on. We did raise around, after expenses, around $8,000. So again, every dollar matters. You just have to look to the example of what? The New Germany Medical Center 40 years ago, when they built that themselves. So there are things happening. So thank you. Oh, and I have to say, so somebody in this room, without mentioning names, did win the 50-50 and did, it wasn't me, and did put it back into the fundraising effort. So that was really very wonderful. So thank you to that person in this room that did that.
How much did you win?
He didn't get to see it. I just snapped. No, I didn't.
Ask Allison.
Nice.
So the third item that I'd like to mention under the vote is what I referenced with Manny, is that we in New Ross also experienced trail closures from the July of 23 weather event. And so finally, as of last weekend, one of our community trails is open after that event, and that is Popner Hill. And I do have a photo of the bridge work that was done by the province.
Wow.
Wow is right. Yeah, so, I'm sorry, it wasn't done by the province, it was paid for by the province, but a local contractor did that. So in addition to that bridge investment, which again is part of their plan going forward for future proofing, that's a word I learned from recreation, future proofing, again, it's not going anywhere, we hope. We had extensive damage on Popner Hill Trail, which I should have had the figure in front of me, and I might be wrong if I said 30,000, but I might be right too, in addition to that bridge. So there was a massive amount of investment that the province put to our community group to manage the repair and the bringing back up to where it should be of that trail. Larders Lane as well received investment that was open a couple of months ago, and Ruby's Trail is currently being worked on right now from that damage, but being worked on. The challenge we're facing now is a lot of our local contractors, a lot of us have started cutting Christmas trees 2 weeks ago. It's earlier every year. So those contractors are now doing other things. But that's what I wanted to mention in my vote this time.
Thank you very much. Now, I did forget one thing. I need a motion to hold a special council meeting next Thursday because it's not a regular.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried.
In camera.
Well, yeah, but we're gonna go have lunch before we go in camera, so we're just taking a break. But there's nothing else on the agenda other than in camera contract negotiation.